A tense moment unfolds on live TV as Meghan Markle and Graham Norton go head-to-head. What started as a charming interview spirals into a fiery confrontation. Then an unexpected exit leaves the audience speechless. If you crave unfiltered drama, celebrity truth bombs, and jaw-dropping TV moments, hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss what happens next. Is this a joke to you? Meghan Markle snapped, her voice sharp, her eyes locked on Graham Norton. The laughter in the room faded fast. You could feel the energy shift. Cameras kept rolling, but something deeper had already snapped. She came to talk. She left in silence. Moments before, Meghan had walked onto the set with a smile. The audience clapped. Graham leaned in with his usual charm, but no one expected what would unfold next. No one saw it coming. One joke, one question. And then everything changed. You see Graham's face freeze, unsure if he should laugh or apologize. Meghan's smile is gone now. Her shoulders are stiff. She is not there to play along anymore. The room goes silent. The other guests exchange glances. The audience holds its breath. This was not just another celebrity interview. This was not another couch chat full of laughs and light digs. This was a full-blown clash. Real feelings, real tension. On live television, and the fallout. It is still spreading. If you crave unfiltered drama, celebrity truth bombs, and jaw-dropping TV moments, then hit that subscribe button. Because what happened between Meghan and Graham is only the beginning. When Meghan Markle agreed to appear on the Graham Norton show, most people expected an easy, relaxed interview. She had just launched a new project, something close to her heart. It was either a Netflix documentary focused on mental health or a memoir exploring her personal journey. Either way, the press buzzed with excitement. This was Meghan stepping back into the spotlight, not as royalty, but as a voice with purpose. Graham's show has a reputation for being light, witty, and full of charm. He is known for his ability to balance humor with grace, even when interviews take unexpected turns. Viewers were expecting laughs, a few cheeky jokes, and maybe a heartfelt moment or two. Nothing more, nothing less. As the studio lights came up, the crowd clapped with energy. Meghan walked in confidently, wearing a soft smile and a calm presence. She greeted Graham with warmth, took her seat on the famous red couch, and everything looked just as it should. The atmosphere felt friendly. There was a sense of mutual respect in the air. No one watching could have guessed what was about to happen. What started as a regular appearance would soon shift into something very different. Beneath the laughter and polite smiles, something began to stir. A question here, a joke there, and then the tone changed. Because what no one expected was this. The interview started the way everyone expected. Graham greeted Meghan with his usual charm. He cracked a few light jokes, and the audience laughed along. Meghan smiled, nodded, and played her part well. She was composed, polished, and looked like she was ready for a friendly evening. They talked about her new project. Meghan spoke with passion about mental health and storytelling. She mentioned how important it was to give people space to be honest, especially in a world that often judges too fast. Graham nodded, added a joke about his own therapist, and the audience chuckled again. Everything felt smooth. Then came the first shift. Graham leaned forward and smiled, the way he always does when setting up a punchline. He asked, "So, you left the royal family for privacy, and then signed a deal with Netflix to talk about your private life?" The crowd laughed. It was a well-timed line, and it landed. For a second, Meghan smiled too. But that smile was tighter now. Her hands, which had been resting casually on her lap, shifted. She crossed one leg over the other and straightened up in her seat. It was subtle, but it was there, she answered calmly. She said, "It is not about hiding. It is about telling the story on your own terms." Graham chuckled and added, "But are your terms ever really private when cameras are involved?" More laughter from the crowd, but this time, Meghan did not laugh. Her face stayed still. Her eyes met Graham's, and her jaw tightened slightly. She nodded once, slow and careful, and said, "You know, jokes like that are part of the problem." The audience went quiet for a beat. Not total silence, but enough for everyone to feel it. Graham tried to recover. He smiled and held up his hands like he was backing off. "No offense meant, Meghan, you know this is all in good fun." Meghan gave a short smile. "I understand fun," she said. "I just also understand what it feels like when fun is used to discredit your truth." The crowd stayed quiet. Some people shifted in their seats. One of the other guests glanced awkwardly at Meghan, then back at Graham. That easy, playful energy was slipping away. It was not a blow-up. Not yet, but the balance had shifted. You could feel it. What started as lighthearted was getting heavier, word by word. And while Meghan kept her tone calm, her message was clear. She was not here to be laughed at. Not this time. Graham looked down at his cards, then back up at Meghan. His tone was still light, but his question carried weight. He asked, "So, Meghan, a lot of people have wondered this. You said you stepped away from royal life to protect your privacy, but then you launched a global documentary. Some say that feels, conflicting. The words hung in the air. For a moment, it seemed like just another sharp question meant to stir a reaction. The kind Graham often throws in to keep the energy up. But this time, the reaction was not laughter. Meghan shifted in her seat. Her smile faded completely. Her voice, calm but sharper now, cut through the studio. "That is a lazy narrative," she said, looking him directly in the eyes. "And I am tired of it." The room went still. The audience froze. Even the cameras seemed to pause. She did not raise her voice, but there was no mistaking her meaning. She went on. "People forget that privacy is about boundaries. It does not mean silence. It means having control over your own story." Graham opened his mouth to respond, but he stopped. He glanced at the audience, then gave a quick, awkward chuckle. "Well, I suppose I walked into that one," he said, trying to lighten the mood, but the mood was already gone. The laughter did not return. Everyone could feel that something real had just happened, something raw. Meghan sat upright, her expression steady. She continued, "For years, the press said what they wanted. They twisted words. They shaped public opinion. And when I speak for myself, suddenly I am the problem." Graham nodded slowly. His usual confidence was not showing. He tried to recover, saying, "No offense meant. It is just a question a lot of people are asking," Meghan replied, "and maybe that is part of the problem. The people are asking the wrong questions." The audience stayed quiet. No claps, no comments, just silence. One of the co-guests glanced at the floor, clearly uncomfortable. Another leaned back, unsure where to look. The moment had landed, and there was no taking it back. Meghan had drawn a clear line. This was not just another interview. This was not casual chat over coffee. She was speaking from somewhere deeper, somewhere more personal. And for the first time that night, Graham looked like he knew the ground had shifted beneath him. He had pushed too far, and Meghan was not going to let it slide. Meghan took a breath. Her voice stayed steady, but her words started to carry more weight. She was no longer just answering questions. She was defending her truth. She said, "People forget that behind all of this is a human being. I was pregnant, I was struggling, and the pressure was constant. Every move I made was picked apart." She paused, her eyes scanning the crowd. "And when I asked for help, I was told to stay quiet, to just smile and go on." The audience stayed quiet. A few people nodded. Everyone remembered the Oprah interview. Meghan, sitting next to Harry, talking about how dark things had really become. The talk about security being pulled. The conversation about skin color. The fear, the isolation. She went on. "I was trying to survive. And when the world decided I was too loud, or too bold, or too honest, they turned on me." Graham, still searching for balance, leaned forward again. "But Meghan," he asked, "what about the parts of your story that some say do not add up? Your relationship with your father, your siblings, the palace timeline. There are contradictions." The question hung in the air. You could see something change in Meghan's face. She looked at him, not angry, but hurt. Her voice was soft, but it cut deep. "You were not there," she said. "You do not know what I lived. You read headlines. I lived through them." She looked down for a moment, then, back up. "I have had to explain myself more in the last 3 years than some people do in a lifetime. And I am still being asked to prove that I was in pain." The audience was silent. There was no laughter now, no clever comeback. Just that heavy feeling. When the truth finally hits the room, Graham sat back in his chair. His usual grin was gone. You could see him thinking. Maybe about the question. Maybe about how far this had all gone. And Meghan, still holding her ground, looked tired. Not from the show, from everything that led up to this moment. She was not there to perform. She was there to be heard. And she was not going to let her story be reduced to soundbites. Not anymore. The room went quiet. You could almost feel the air shift. At first, there was a nervous laugh from someone in the back, like they thought it was all still part of the show. Just another cheeky moment on the Graham Norton show. But that laugh died quickly. Because everyone could see it. Meghan's expression had changed. She was not just responding anymore. She was reacting deeply. Graham had pushed one question too far, and the tension finally snapped. Meghan's eyes welled up. She looked down for a second, blinked fast, and when she looked up again, her voice was shaky. "I will not be disrespected under the guise of comedy," she said. Her words landed heavy, not loud, but full of weight. The studio, usually full of energy and clapping, was frozen. The other guests on the couch, actors, musicians, the usual mix, shifted awkwardly. One of them looked down at their shoes. Another gave a tight smile and looked away. They all knew this had crossed a line, but no one knew how to step in. Graham, usually so quick on his feet, sat back in his chair. He gave a small nod like he understood, but it was too late. Meghan reached behind her neck, unclipped her mic, and held it in her hand. For a moment, everyone was still trying to figure out if this was real. Then she stood up. There was an audible gasp. Someone in the front row even whispered, "Is she leaving?" She did not slam anything or yell. She just looked around, gave a calm but pained smile, and walked off the set. No music played. No one clapped. The camera cut awkwardly. Graham sat there with a face that said, well, this has never happened before. And just like that, the most talked about moment in the show's history was unfolding in silence. Meghan stood up from the couch. Her face was tight, eyes wet, but her back was straight. She looked at the other guests, gave a small nod, and softly said, "Thank you all." It was something. No one moved. No one spoke. You could hear a pin drop. She stepped over the rug, past the coffee table, and walked off the stage with calm but steady steps. Not rushed, not loud, just firm. Her mic cord trailed for a second before it unplugged, causing a light scratch of feedback in the speakers. In the control room, red lights started flashing. A producer leaned forward and shouted into the headset. Another ran toward the side curtain. Camera operators froze, not sure whether to cut, zoom, or fade to black. Back on stage, Graham sat there, hands folded in his lap. He blinked a few times, stared toward where Meghan had exited, then slowly turned to face the audience. "That was unexpected," he said, almost under his breath. The audience did not clap. Some glanced at each other, a few murmured. One woman in the front row had her hand over her mouth. The tension hung in the air like fog. One of the guests, a comedian who had cracked a joke earlier, cleared his throat and shifted in his seat. You could tell he wanted to say something, maybe explain, maybe lighten the mood. But no words came out. The cameras stayed rolling, but no one knew what to shoot anymore. The energy in the room had shifted completely. What started as a lighthearted segment had turned into something raw and real, and now, all anyone could ask was, what happens next? The fallout was immediate. As soon as the show aired, headlines lit up across the media landscape. Meghan storms off Norton set was plastered across every major outlet. From tabloids to primetime news, the story was everywhere. British TV had seen its fair share of awkward moments, but nothing like this. It felt like the nation blinked and suddenly Meghan Markle was gone, leaving a cloud of tension in her wake. Clips of the moment spread like wildfire. TikTok was the first to explode. Users posted slowed-down edits of her walking off Zoom on Graham Norton's stunned face, and even reaction videos capturing their own shock. YouTube creators rushed to break it all down, pausing the footage frame by frame, speculating on what Meghan whispered to the other guests before she left. And on Twitter, hashtags like #MeghanExit and #Norton Meltdown started trending by the hour. Everyone had a take. Some called it justified, others called it dramatic, but no one could look away. A day later, Meghan broke her silence. No big press conference, no long explanation, just a short statement posted online. "Not all jokes are harmless," she wrote, simple, direct, but packed with meaning. That one line sparked even more debate. Some praised her for speaking up. Others said she overreacted. But what mattered most was that people were talking. Once again, Meghan had become the center of a conversation that reached far beyond late-night TV. This time, it was not just about a moment. It was about the message. And just like that, a few minutes on a talk show turned into a full-blown cultural flashpoint. The show ended, but the ripple effects had only just begun. The aftermath of the Meghan Markle and Graham Norton clash sent shockwaves across the internet. The moment she walked off set was clipped, captioned, and spread like wildfire. Headlines lit up within hours. Meghan storms off Norton, British TV, shocker. And royal drama returns to primetime flooded every entertainment site. TikTok and Twitter blew up with reaction videos, debates, memes, and side-by-side footage. YouTube channels were racing to break it down frame by frame. Even late-night shows in the US had something to say. Meghan waited a full day before addressing it. Then she released a short but loaded statement on Instagram. Just 10 words. "Not all jokes are harmless." Some cut deeper than expected. She did not mention Graham by name, but everyone knew who she meant. That post hit 1 million likes in an hour. Celebrities started chiming in, some backing her, some saying she overreacted. But now comes the big question: was Meghan right to walk off, or did she blow it out of proportion? Opinions were divided. Some said she stood up for herself. Others said she was too sensitive. The studio audience had laughed, but a few looked awkward. Was that joke really worth all this? TV analysts had their own take. Some wondered if the whole thing was planned, a publicity stunt to boost ratings, but it felt too raw to be fake, too tense, too real. Here is the thing. Late-night shows walk a fine line. Jokes are part of the deal, but there is a point where humor turns into humiliation. That line was clearly tested on that stage, maybe even crossed. And now, everyone has to pick a side. What do you think? Was Meghan justified, or did she take it too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every one interview, one moment. And now, the internet cannot stop talking. It started like any other episode. Graham Norton, that cheeky charm and British wit, seated comfortably on his famous red couch. Meghan Markle walked on set with grace, her usual poise, and that smile that always gets the room buzzing. The audience cheered, the cameras rolled, And what followed was a conversation no one expected. Now, headlines are everywhere. Meghan Markle kicked off Graham Norton's show. Fans are split. Critics are loud, and the moment is burned into the internet forever. Was Meghan right to walk away, or did Graham just do what hosts do? Tell us your take in the comments below. Seriously, we want to hear from you. These moments are not black and white. They spark bigger questions about media, respect, and boundaries. And if you love raw, emotional, celebrity moments like this, those real talk interviews that flip the room upside down, then hit that subscribe button. You do not want to miss the next breakdown, because here, we do not just follow the drama. We break it down, piece by piece, emotion by emotion. This is Unscripted Stories, where the story is just the beginning.